Hey everybody, I just wanted to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by the great folks at Elderwood Academy. Elderwood Academy makes all kinds of awesome gaming products that you should check out. Many of them are beautifully handcrafted. I'm talking about those amazing spell book boxes that you now see everywhere. A must-have item. I must have two of them because I do. And they also make awesome dice. And today I want to talk to you about their mini Phoenix dice. These are just incredible, beautiful metal dice. Like, you are going to want to go onto their website, check these mini Phoenix dice out, and while you are there, get one of their custom-made hex cases for carrying your dice around. In fact, you can get a mini hex chest that fits on your keychain so you are ready to game anytime. Go check it out. Wear elderwoodacademy.com/don't split. That's elderwoodacademy.com/don't split. Go check out all the amazing things they have to offer. This is Tabletop Babble. I'm James Introcaso. Today on the show, I am talking with two extremely incredible and inspirational individuals. I am talking to Fenway, the teen DM of Jaspers Game Day and Jaspers Game Week now, and Jake of Mini Terrain, who is also helping out with Jaspers Game Week. They are just incredible, inspiring people who are doing amazingly good work through games. And they will blow you away with what else they're doing in games. Fenway is a game designer. Jake is a game designer as well. And he's also building this incredible mini terrain. They're streaming. Man, I want to be them. They are so incredible. So here is my interview with Fenway and Jake. Okay, everybody, now I am here with two incredible individuals in the gaming community. I am super psyched to have them both here. Let's go around the table, let people know who you are and what you do in the world of tabletop role-playing games. Fenway, let's start with you.
Hi, I'm Fenway Jones. You may know me as the kind of founder of Jaspers Game Day. I'm also out there as a writer on the DM's Guild and for the Uncaged anthology that Ashley Warren just came out with. I'm also known as the Teen DM on Twitter.
Excellent. It's cool to see how much you've already accomplished in such a short time, Fenway. It's really impressive, and we're definitely going to get into that. And another impressive person with us is Jake. Jake, tell people who you are and what you do in the world of tabletop role-playing games.
Hi, I'm Jake. I'm most notably known as Mini Terrain Domain, or MTD, Mitide. That is a YouTube channel that I started it's going on 5 years, I think, as a dungeon terrain crafting. And then eventually I got into running streaming games through Google Hangouts. And then I know it was 14 months ago because I just got my anniversary notice on Twitch. I started streaming on Twitch, and I now run the Mini Terrain Domain Twitch channel where we stream 3 of the D&D campaigns a week in weekly campaigns, the Tomb of Annihilation, Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and kind of a mishmash that I'm pulling a couple adventures out of the Tales from the Yawning Portal right now. We call ourselves Dawnbringers, Season 2, The Forge of Fury. And I run occasional one-shots and things like that. So a little bit of the terrain crafting with some like custom dice towers and terrain, and running D&D. Like this week, I'm playing in games every day for 6 days.
Oh my gosh. Wow. You're living the dream. Great YouTube channel. I first stumbled upon you, I think, with your miniature spider video, how to make a miniature spider, which is a just delightful video that people should definitely check out. And that's awesome that you're doing all of that. And of course, you and Fenway are also working together, and we're going to jump right into that. So I want to start with Jaspers Game Day. Let's talk about Jaspers Game Day. What is it, Fenway?
So it is a nonprofit organization that uses Dungeons and Dragons, streaming, and other gaming things to raise money for suicide prevention and awareness. We are in a few different states right now. Our main Jaspers Game Day is going to be on May 11th, and you can check out that at jaspersgameday.com. We do things for local crisis centers to wherever we're raising money at. So we're based out of Michigan, so all of the money we raise here goes to a local crisis center here.
That's right. Yeah. And so it's grown, right? It started as a game day and has become a movement, an organization now, which is really incredible and amazing. And I've seen a lot of great people like yourselves get behind this movement. What was the impetus to start Jasper's Game Day?
So Jasper's Game Day started after I lost 2 friends to suicide in the span of about 10 months. And it was a very devastating experience for me. But I decided to use my pain and devastation to try and create hope and happiness for others in the same situation. So we raise money for people to go into high schools and teach the staff and sometimes even the parents how to recognize suicidal behavior and thoughts and how to respond to it, and then how to counsel in the aftermath. So we work a lot with the prevention, but also with the aftermath as well.
Wow, it is really, really incredible, Fenway. And like you said, your handle is the Teen DM, so it gives people an idea of what you are capable of at a very young adult age here, to be able to get started doing some really inspiring things and to take energy that was caused by pain and turn it into something that can be helpful to other people is just impressive, and my hat is off to you. I think what you're doing with Jasper's Game Day is really amazing. Why did you decide gaming would be a good way to approach people and raise funds and that sort of thing?
Well, so one of the people that I lost, the first one, was my gaming partner in crime. And he was one of the first people that I gamed with, and he went to all my conventions with me. So that was a big part of it, and he's also the namesake. But Satine Phoenix, who is my mentor, she came up with the idea, or she helped me come up with the idea because seemed to be a lack of suicide prevention movements or ideas in the gaming industry. So we wanted to cater to a niche of the industry.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And seeing Satine get on board with it, I think, is a great thing as well. It's obviously a great cause. And it's just cool to see how the gaming community has begun to rally around this movement. Jake, how did you get involved?
So I have followed Satine on Twitter for quite some time. And around last year, I started noticing that she was talking about this Jasper's Game Day. Most notably, I live in Michigan, maybe an hour and a half away from Fenway. I found out that Satine was in Michigan the day after they left. So I had kind of found out about the whole Jasper's Game Day thing after the fact. And it was one of those things that just stuck in the back of my mind. And as I've been doing, at that time, I had not been streaming for very long either. And, but I started through many of the other streamers that I follow. I noticed several of them doing 24-hour streams with they were taking all of the bits and donations and everything they got and directing it towards a particular organization. And eventually I thought, you know what, I want to do this too. And I'd really like to do this for Jaspers. I think many people, and myself included, have been touched by the effects of suicide. I'm a Army veteran. and that is an issue that comes up a lot, particularly with everything going on in the last couple decades. So it's always been a thing that has just been there for me personally. So yeah, I started to realize, hey, I want to do a 24-hour stream, and I want it to benefit Jaspers. And I don't think at the beginning, I don't recall that I even necessarily told Fenway about it. I think it was just this idea that I had, that I told to the people I was gaming with at that particular moment. Like, we had just finished a game, and I was like, you know what, guys, I want to do this. And it kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, that is super cool to, see again the community get involved with this. This is becoming a big thing, especially to stream and support an organization like Jasper's Game Day. And you have a very big charity stream coming up, right? For Jaspers, a big event, I would say.
Yes, we do. So we have our main May 11th game day, which is going to be have at a few different stores across the country, and that is for our Michigan one, a 13-hour day. And then we have a week-long or 6 days of streaming going on after that, and on Jake's channel.
That's what was originally the 24-hour stream, has turned into it's actually 5 days, Sunday through Thursday, 5 days, 40 hours, one great cause. That's kind of our tagline. And he wasn't able to be with us, but Jason T D&D DM is his handle on Twitter. And if you're following anything to do with Jasper's Game Day and this, what we're calling Jasper's Game Week stream, you'll see that he's the one that's been sharing out all of the information about the events and who the players are for each of those days. He's the person that was in the game with me that when I said I wanted to do this 24-hour stream, he started messaging me just a couple days later saying, so I took your idea and I started talking to some people. And then he started telling me who he was talking to. And I was just, every day he was blowing me away. And it was around that time that we looped in with Fenway to say, hey, this is turning into a really big thing, and I just want to make sure you know that we're doing this.
Yeah. What was your reaction to that, Fenway?
At first, I was very surprised.
Sure.
just at the sheer amount of support that I'd been getting from everyone, and now the stream coming up, I was not expecting it in any way. So the surprise was the first thing, and then just thankfulness that people in the community wanted to help me and the nonprofit out, and get this thing going further than I could ever do by myself. So it was a very unique experience, I would say. Also, I was excited to hear about it and who would be involved with it.
Yeah, that's very cool, and it's something I am very excited about because Jason asked me if I wanted to run a game for the stream, and of course I said yes because it's a great opportunity and it is going to be a lot of fun. What are some of, or rather, who are some of the people who are going to be on this stream?
So I went ahead because I anticipated you were going to ask me that. I brought up our kind of a matrix of the game. So we're actually running 3 games each day. The stream's going to run from 4 p.m. Eastern to midnight Eastern. As Fenway said, it's going to be on my twitch.tv/mini terrain domain. I'm only running 1 game on the first day, but I'm going to be producing the stream. So I'll be here behind the scenes for 8 hours every day running the stream. Keeping everybody updated on what games are coming up and introducing games and keeping everything running smoothly. But we have the Castle Mac crew. Castle Mac is a wonderful channel. I've gamed with a few, with Steven and Lydia. they're going to be kicking off our event. I'm running a game that Fenway is going to be playing in. We have some of the WebDM crew joining us for what we're calling our flagship games, which are the last game that runs from 8 p.m. to midnight each night. And so the WebDM crew, along with Kelsey Reamer and Elisa Teague, we've got, let's see, we've got Celeste Konowich, Lisa Chen, Shad Ross, and Sean Merwin making up another flagship game on that Monday. On Tuesday, we've got Nerd Archist Dave is going to be running a game that Ephemera and Arcane Library are going to be a part of, along with V, the Crafting Muse. The flagship is Grimjack with Drop the Die, amazing cosplayer, and just straight up fighting person. Like she I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, she does these. It's Archer Inventive, and she does these incredible like accurate, like legitimate, like what is that, medieval times type stuff, but it's not the show. Mm-hmm. And in that same game is Dr. Meg, who many people know from Twitter.
Oh yeah,
as well. Again, Drop the Die, James Heck, Kika Nomedic, and of course on Wednesday, flagship game that you're running, and you've got Gil Ramirez, Robert Aducci, and Christina Ariel.
That's right.
In that game.
I am going to be eaten alive in that game. Those are some great players.
And the final day, our flagship game is run by Dan Dillon with Kelly the Opera Geek, B. Dave Walters, and McLaughlin. As I said, each day there's 3 games. There's a 4 to 6 game, there's a 6 to 8 game, and then there's our 8 to midnight game. And we'll have like 5-10 minute segments in between each of those. And there's one really cool thing, Fenway. If you want to, I'll let you be the one to say to announce this if you want. One really cool thing about each of these flagship games.
Yeah, so for each of the flagship games, we have the opportunity for the public to buy raffle tickets to that are going to be raffled off, or the raffle is going to go on so that one person is going to be able to join each flagship event during the week. So it's another way to raise money and then have the public involved in the Jaspers week stream as well. And we have a Tiltify account that the URL is tinyurl.com/Jaspers2019.
Nice. Yes, people should definitely go immediately. Whatever you're doing, you're probably driving your car right now, so don't do it while you're driving your car. But yes, definitely go check that out. This is such a great thing, and it's awesome to see all of the cool tie-ins that are happening, and just exactly how much love and support there is in the community for the idea of helping out people who need some help. And so what exactly does the money go to when people give to Jaspers Game Day?
So when they give to Jaspers Game Day, it can go to a number of crisis centers that we are partnered with. So we were put in contact with the American Association of Suicidology, and we partnered with them, and they help us find the crisis centers around the U.S. that would like to partner with us, and they do the money transfer and whatnot. And I am actually on their National Youth Board, and I'm the chair of it, which is fun. But so some of the money that from online goes to that. And then a lot of the money, like I said, goes to local crisis centers.
Again, it just blows me away that you're on the board for this. How did that come about?
So I originally started on the board. They heard about Jaspers Game Day, wanted to get me on the board. And that's actually how our partnership with AAS started. And then after a while, they were looking for a chair for the board, and I guess their first choice was me.
Well, this is incredible. So, and I want to talk with you all more about just game design and awesome stuff in general. But before we move on to that, is there anything else we should mention about the streaming event or Jasper's Game Day that you want people to know?
Yeah, so for Jasper's Game Day, we are actually going to have two unique AL certs that are going to the stores. And yeah, so one is a familiar cert, and then one is a Jasper's Game Day itself cert. So we are super excited about that, and we are also going to be having 3 Jasper's Game Day CCCs that are being written, one by myself and 2 others that are being written for the main game day. So that'll be fun too. And all the proceeds from that, when we put them on the DM's Guild, go to Jaspers.
I'm really excited that I get to be at the flagship event at Fenway's home game store, and I'm running a game with a anybody that follows Mini Terrain Domain has heard me talk about the Tomb of the Mummy Lord. It's a custom terrain piece that I built 3 years ago that I've run, and it's a custom module. Classic dungeon call. It's a literal pyramid that opens up the top. There's rooms in it, and then you solve it, and then you go down to the next level. I designed and built the whole thing. I wrote the module, and I've run it now almost 30 times at cons and game stores, and I'm excited to run it again at the flagship event for 5 new players.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. So let's say I'm in the area. What are we allowed to shout out the name of this game store?
Yes, it is Zeige Games. Zeige Games in Heartland, Michigan. It's spelled Zeige.
Don't go anywhere. There's more tabletop babble coming up.
Hey, it's Mike Shea of Sly Flourish and author of The Lazy Dungeon Master and Sly Flourish's Fantastic Locations. My show, The DM's Deep Dive on the Don't Split the Podcast Network, features a one-on-one discussion with guests like Sean Merwin, Enrique Bertrand, Teo Sabadia, and more. Once a month, we dive deep into a single D&D topic and answer your burning DM questions. Watch us live on Twitch, on YouTube, or on our podcast on the Don't Split the Podcast Network. Let's dive deep.
All right, back to the show.
Let's talk a little bit about this this exclusive AL familiar search. Are we allowed to reveal any details yet, or is it all on the DL? You have to go to the game day to find out.
So I would say that it's mostly just for the game day, but it was at Winter Fantasy as well. So I will mention that it is a sock puppet.
What? Okay. All right. Well, now I got to find a way to get to a game store. You said this is happening all over the country on Jasper's Game Day. How can people find out which game stores are participating?
So the list of game stores that are participating is going to be on jaspersgameday.com, and we have a specific little tab that says stores that are participating or something of that nature, and it has a list of by state which ones are in it and the names and the areas and that sort of thing.
Let's talk a little bit about where people can go and what they should do to support Jasper's Game Day. And we'll plug this all again at the end because I think it's important enough to mention twice. But if somebody's interested in helping out with Jasper's Game Day, they want to give you money, how can they do that? What's the best way to do it?
The best way would be to go and hit the donate button on our website. That you can actually, if you donate more than $15, then you get a shirt. We can send you a shirt, a Jasper's Game Day shirt. So that's fun. And if you go to any of the events, or if you want to get onto the email list, and I will send emails out to whoever is interested in it, and then if you need to contact me that way, or you can contact me on Twitter.
And if people want to watch the streaming event, what is your Twitch channel again, Jake?
So the Twitch channel is twitch.tv/mini terrain Domain, all one word.
Excellent. And you really should go and check out these beautiful YouTube videos. I am just in awe of what you are able to do with some very sort of readily available tools and things. So it is really, really cool.
Well, I should say I'm actually working on, and I've done a couple of live streams on the YouTube channel that are currently up there. I'm building a custom dice tower. It's one of the things that I do. That is Tomb of Annihilation themed, that I will be bringing to the flagship event of Jasper's Game Day at Fenways Store. And I will be donating for them to do what they wish with it, to auction it off or whatever they wish to do with it. It's got a 3D printed green devil face that the dice come out of, and there is a trap door that the dice can fall into a secondary dice tray. I'm really excited about it.
Wow. Well, I cannot wait to see what the finished product of this thing is. And you're both game designers. You both already talked about writing modules on the show. Let's dive into that a little bit. I didn't hazard to do like actual public, let me put this on the internet and see what people have to say about it, game design, until I was in my late 20s. Fenway, you're already there. You've already got bestseller you've contributed to on the DMs Guild. Uncaged is just a beautiful, beautiful product that is super fun to play and has a lot of awesomeness to it. What was it like jumping into game design?
So it was a very different experience than I thought it was going to be. Because I had previously obviously written papers and things of that nature, but I had never written something to that extent. But luckily, I actually wrote my first adventure with the help of Satine. So it was a very good experience to get her help and get her to tell me what I was supposed to do, what would make things better, and that sort of thing. And I actually got my first adventure in before they changed the format for season 8. So it was good and bad because I learned that format and then was confused by the new one. But but it was also good because the first format made me very in depth and that sort of thing, because my first one was actually a murder mystery. So
yeah.
I may have chosen the hardest type of adventure to write for my first one.
Yeah, for real. And continued to want to do it. I think you managed to face a lot of challenges with your first one in that, like, hey, learn this format. Hey, learn this new format. Hey, so there's a lot of things going on there, and you're continuing to do it. I love the fact that Jasper's Game Day is going to have exclusive CCCs, which I think is just awesome, and that's a great part of it. How about you? When did you, Jake, get your start in game design and making beautiful terrain and things?
So I started playing. I played D&D back when I was in the Army in the 90s with second edition. It was kind of where I cut my teeth. And then I didn't play for about 15 or 16 years. And I work in publishing now. And a buddy of mine, we just got to talking about the good old days of D&D. And he had continued to play off and on through 3rd and 3.5 and 4th edition. And he's like, I think you'd make a good DM. So I just started devouring 4th edition. And I ran a few games in 4th edition, and I was like, I really want to make this more than these 2D battle mats. And I just started watching some YouTube videos and carving some stuff out of foam. And I wish I still had those first terrain pieces, because they're kind of like, that artwork you get in, that you make in the first grade where you trace your hand and then
but you turn it into a turkey.
Yeah, exactly. It's I made some turkeys, but my players loved it. But it just so happened, as I was doing research, that's when 5th edition was in playtest. I got in right on the ground floor with the playtest, and I've been hooked ever since. And I kind of taught myself, but also watching a lot of things. I watched a lot of Acquisitions Incorporated. And over the last couple of years, I've watched a lot of Critical Role, and I'm in a small community on Facebook primarily that's built up around the third party publisher called Absolute Tabletop. And I became friends with a lot of people that I game with today. I became friends with through that community. And so I run a lot of published stuff, but I started running just one shots that would be the most ridiculous things. Somebody put a post up about something to do with beard oil, and I'm known for having a giant beard. And somebody said, I bet Jake can make a game out of this. 20 minutes later, I had an outline for Professor, I think at the time I called it Professor Pappy Van Winkle's Magical Miracle Beard Oil. I've run that adventure twice, and I'm kind of working through it again because I want to actually write it up and publish it. And obviously, I can't use Pappy Van Winkle. That's a trademark name of a very expensive bourbon. But I do that kind of thing. I've run a series of games, 3 or 4 games on my channel called The Affairs of Dragons, because I wondered what would happen if I gave the players the stats of, just say, pick a dragon from the monster manual, and those are your stats. And pit them against other challenge. What kind of a challenge do you have for 4 chromatic dragons working together? So naturally, you put them all up against a Tarrasque.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, so I've always dabbled in storytelling since I was young, but I actually didn't write my first adventure, like published adventure, until just last fall at 45. So I co-published with Kelsey Dion of the Arcane Library, along with Ken of Burling's Beard, and Sharang Biswas. Sharang has published a lot of really interesting mini games and things like that. So we created the Adventure Mixtape, which is available on Drive-Thru RPG. And it's 4 unique adventures. Mine is called Gorillas in Their Midst, and it's a Indiana Jones. Yeah, there's a pun in there.
I love that.
I can tell you, that's another thing I'm known for. I got so many grung-based puns. I love a good pun, and I will make an entire adventure out of it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I sort of came into it organically a little bit later in life, but I don't believe in age having anything to do with when you can, get started on these kind of things.
One of the great things about role-playing games is there is no age limit really either way, right? As long as you're able to understand the basic concepts, you can start playing role-playing games when you are a kid, and you can keep on playing them, for as long as you are alive, which is just great and super duper fun. Fenway, when did you start playing RPGs?
So I started when I was about 11. My dad and his best friend, they've been best friends for 30 years now. They played it when they were kids and played it all throughout until now, and they still play together. And so they got me into it, and that's actually how I met Jasper. He was my dad's friend's nephew. We all played together, mostly online, until we wanted to go up to, because they live in northern Michigan. So we traveled up there a little bit, about every other week. And so that's how I got into it. And then my dad started doing D&D like at stores. So he would bring the supplies and would teach people how to DM and would teach people how to play. And that's actually how I started DMing, is because one of the stores got so big that we needed more DMs than we had, and he was just like, hey, you're gonna DM now, and he just kind of threw me at it.
Oh, thanks, Dad.
Well, I mean, it was a good experience because I got a lot of mistakes out in the first adventure. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, well, and a huge thing I think about DMing is learning that it's okay to make mistakes, right? And learning that it's like, this is a game, everybody's here to have a good time, and nobody is like, well, now, or at least, players that I want to play with, and I'm sure that you all want to play with, don't sit back and say, okay, now entertain me. They're going to work with you to make something really fun happen.
Absolutely, yeah. That was one of the hard things for me to learn, was the whole it's okay to make mistakes thing. But I also started looking at it as none of the players actually know the adventure, or if they do, they shouldn't say anything.
Exactly. Yeah. They're not going to tell you that's not how it happens, because then they reveal they're cheating.
Right. So none of them are either going to say anything or they don't know what is going on. So you can make mistakes and not have it be a big deal.
So, Fenway, do you have any advice for someone who is maybe in high school and they are looking to sort of jump into designing some role-playing games and things like that?
Yes, I would say don't doubt yourself. Just jump right in. It's hard at first, but it gets easier, and there are lots of people that can help you. And if you start to doubt yourself, it gets harder, because then other people start to doubt you because they don't see your confidence. So if you can fake it till you make it, that is definitely the way to go.
That's great advice. How about you, Jake? Sort of on the opposite end, I feel like I have friends who they want to get into D&D, or they want to get into doing more in the industry, but they feel like, they with their adult responsibilities, right? Taxes and jobs and keeping themselves alive and possibly keeping other people and pets and things like that alive. Like, they're exhausted. They don't know where to start. What advice do you have? Because you are a very busy individual with your games and your channels and things like that.
Yeah, my wife and I are both creatives. My wife is a self-published author, and so she works from home during the day. We have two kids that are, one is a freshman, finishing his freshman year in college, and a 16-year-old daughter that is a junior in high school, or a sophomore in high school. And I work a full-time publishing job, and a lot of times I work all day, and I have about close to an hour commute, and then I have time to get some dinner, maybe watch a TV show or chat with the family, and then I come out and I game for a couple hours. And that's actually one of the secrets. So there's a whole bunch rolled in there, but really it's my wife and I have, just as creatives, we understand how each other's process works and the need to have these creative outlets. D&D is my is a major form of therapy for me. It's a major catharsis, to be able to get this creative energy out. But it's also tapping into a passion that I've always had, that I wanted to, with streaming in particular, that I was always interested in voice acting. I've done some theater. I've acted in a couple of independent films over the last couple decades. And I've always wanted to be in broadcast. And now I get to do all of that on my own terms. I produce my own streams. I do all my own graphics. I design all of the title sequences, all that stuff. And I absolutely love it. And I just sort of fit things in. I do a lot of multitasking. But the other thing, and this is one of those things, because you touched on something, with being busy. I don't have the time or the energy to run 4, 6, 8-hour games every day or 3 days a week. When I started streaming, previously we would typically run a 4 to 5 hour game. And when I started streaming, published, like saying, hey, we're going to run a campaign, we're going to go through Tomb of Annihilation, which we just had our 40th episode, over 100 hours of gaming. And if you kind of do the math on that, we average 2.5 hours per session each week. And that's, I think, a big part of the secret is we only play for 2.5 hours. It makes it very episodic. as a DM, I can look for those cliffhanger moments. I can look for those, something very emotional just landed. And that's okay. I know technically we have 20 minutes left before we would end, but we're going to end right there because, there's that palpable tension in the air from that. So that's my biggest secret to balancing everything is I just run shorter games. And part of the player buy-in when I'm selecting players to play in these campaigns is these are the terms. We're going to run shorter games. We're going to play weekly. And things are going to happen where people's schedules don't allow, and we'll just work around that.
I love it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, being flexible and again, remembering that it's all a game and it's all about having fun and also shorter games then make it an easier commitment, right? I think everybody thinks you have to be like Stranger Things and play for 12 hours on a Saturday, which I wish.
Right. Don't get me wrong. I like those games like 2 or 3 times a year in the summer with barbecue.
I'm coming over, Jake. You're living the dream, and I want to be part of it. But yeah, this is it's just so excellent to have both of you here. And again, I do want to say for all you do for the community, all your design work, all of your making fantastic things, and all of your support for what is a super important cause that I think gets overlooked often in favor of some other things that might be hot button issues or whatever. This is just huge. It affects everybody. It crosses political spectrums and, crosses communities and that sort of thing. So my hat is off to you both for all of the work you're doing with Jaspers Game Day. And thank you for letting me be a small part of it with the stream and for coming on this podcast to talk about it and to talk about all of the amazing things that you do. Before we go, where can people find you on the internet, Fenway?
I am on Facebook as Fenway Jones or Jaspers Game Day. And then on Twitter as the Teen DM or Fenway Jones, the Teen DM.
And where can people find you, Jake?
Just about anywhere that if you Google mini terrain domain, you're going to find a link to my YouTube channel, my Twitch channel. Pretty much, I've got a lot of different places that I can be found, but the best way to find me is at MTD_Jake. That is my Twitter handle. That is where it's kind of my central hub for all of my promotion for the YouTube channel, for Twitch. I cross promote. I've blurred the lines because I eat, sleep, drink, breathe D&D. I don't really have a separation between my brand and myself because I am my brand. So I post my personal Instagram. I think it's Jake of the Internet right now. But all that, it all goes to the same place. It all goes to Twitter. And it's because of this awesome, Twitter is such an awesome community of players. So that's why I hang out there. And that's where I met Fenway. So at MTD_Jake. Sorry, long way around to a short answer.
Hey, no, I appreciate it, and I am also big Twitter fan. It is a problem sometimes how much of a fan of Twitter I am. So yes, thank you both so much for joining me today on Tabletop Babble. I really, really appreciate it. That was an awesome interview. I told you they were inspiring. Super great. People, Tabletop Babble is still a new show, and you can help it grow. How? By heading on over to iTunes and leaving us a 5-star review. That's right. You can make me say anything you want when you leave us a 5-star review, and you help other people find the show. Even if you don't have iTunes, odds are your podcatcher app uses iTunes algorithms to rate and recommend podcasts to others. So head on over to iTunes, give us a 5-star review, rate us, and let everybody else know that you love Tabletop Babble. Like Modern Kutstizov. Modern Kutstizov has a review entitled Great Energy, Great Topics. Short but sweet, and here's what the review says. This is one of my favorite podcasts, RPG or otherwise. Short review, huge compliment. Thank you so much, Modern Kuznetsov, for this review. You know, people, I have just launched a Patreon account. There are lots of extras there. For $1, you can help decide the order of upcoming Tabletop Babble episodes and let me know what you want to hear. You can give me feedback on all kinds of stuff. It's really great. $5 a month gets you extra content, and $10 a month gets you all of that plus a Q&A with me, a live stream Q&A where you can leave questions and I will answer them. My wife Bonnie is going to be interviewing me each month. It's going to be super fun. I cannot wait. So go check that out. And I'm also on Twitter at James Introcaso, and you can find me at worldbuilderblog.com. Plus, don't forget to check out don'tsplitthepodcastnetwork.com for lots of other great podcasts like The Demon Plague, a 5th edition actual play D&D podcast that I am the GM for. It is also based on a level 1 through 20 campaign I wrote that you can buy. Whew, this is a lot of plugs. Tabletop Babble is a show on the Don't Split the Podcast Network. Thanks to Rudy Basso for founding it with me. Our theme music, which you're listening to right now, was provided by Battle Bards. Don't forget that RPGs are like sex. Hey everybody, I just wanted to let you know that this episode of Tabletop Babble was brought to you by Kobold Press. You know them, amazing third-party design company that makes excellent products that are play tested. They have incredible art. They're edited well. They're designed well. We've had many of their designers on this show, including Kobold in Chief Wolfgang Bauer. Well, guess what? They're putting out all kinds of PDFs about magic. The Deep Magic series from Kobold Press. Talking about elven magic, battle magic, clockwork magic, time magic, rune magic, illumination. Nearly 20 PDFs with new ones coming out all the time. You can check it out at koboldpress.com to get the Deep Magic series for 5th edition. And you get all these new schools of magic, sorceress origins, warlock patrons, feats, spells, magic items, and so much more. So go check it out over at koboldpress.com. It's the Deep Magic series for 5th edition. Tell them DSPN sent you.